Ever get halfway through a book and kind of feel like it's slowed way down and you're ready to kind of set it aside? Well, today we're going to talk about how to stop your readers from closing the book, putting it down, and never getting it back up. So let's talk about your sagging middle. I feel like I need to disclose a few things about myself before I continue in this episode because I've been getting some more comments than usual about my authenticity and about my tone and about me reading scripts. And first, let me just explain something to you. I don't read scripts. I have an outline because I have menopause. Because I have menopause, my brain is all over the place. And if I don't have a script, I won't stay on topic. So I tend to veer off. So just so you know, I do have an outline in front of me that I can refer to. So I stay on topic. Number two, I'm authentic. This is me. If I'm in a bad mood, you're going to see it. If I'm in a good mood, you're going to see it. I can't lie, people. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. When I was young, my mother used to tell me, you shouldn't tell lies. People can tell because I don't have a filter from my brain to my face. So you can see what and how I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. It is completely obvious. So if I don't like you, I have a really hard time hiding that. And if I like you, you're going to know it because you'll see it on my face. So authenticity, this is it, guys. I'm not a great actor and I don't care if you like me or not. I've been in business for over 7 years. I work with authors, hundreds of authors. I've published dozens of novels a year. I'm on average about between 20 and 30 books a year. So I'm not doing YouTube to impress anybody. I'm actually doing these videos to help my authors that work with me and get them, topics and resources that they ask me for. So there's that. So that's my disclosure. If that's something you can get on board with, if you guys can feel like, yeah, okay, Stacey's going to be real, then go ahead and like and subscribe. And I will give you topics and information that my authors ask for or that you ask for. But I'm not here to mean mug people, and I'm certainly not going to, put up with people being mean mugging to me because I'm not here to really impress anybody. I'm just here to do a job, and that's to give information that I feel like is valuable to authors because that's my passion. That's what I do. I bring authors information that can make them feel more confident about getting their stories out there and read by people that they feel like would want to read their stories. So there's that. Now, enough with the lecture. I'm done with it. I'm moving on. Here's what we're going to talk about. A couple weeks ago, no, a couple weeks ago, that's a lie. See, I told you. It was like a couple years ago. I picked up the book, The Night Circus. Now I'm not gonna cut any, whatever metaphor. Yeah, I'm not gonna mince words here. I bought it because the cover was beautiful. I loved it. I think that it just caught my eye. I love reds and blacks and whites. And of course, that cover is just gorgeous. So she also was getting a lot of accolades. Like this book was getting a lot of reviews that were saying it was fabulous. And I had a few friends that told me it was really good. So I picked it up. I thought I would like it. And it's a very big book. I'm not gonna lie. And she did have me hooked from the get-go. Like I was in. But about maybe about a third, almost halfway through, um, I got bored. I got really bored. I put the book down and I never picked it back up. I keep the book. It's actually over here on my shelf in a place of honor, only because I love the cover and it's a good cautionary tale for me. I use it to illustrate the fact that sometimes when you want to go on and explain in the middle of a story, it can lose readers. And so, if you want to make sure that you don't do that, if you want readers to read to the end, then you need to make sure that that middle section of your story, the act 2, act 3, is going to keep people in involved and invested in your characters. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how you can actually do that. And I'm going to give you a few tricks because writing is so subjective and it's so personal, and it really just depends on you and how you write. There are lots of ways to tackle this, but so this is going to be generic information, but it's going to hopefully give you guys some ideas on how to really kind of like hone in and figure out what's happening with your book. If you need more information, you can always hit me up at editsbystacy.com. I have some amazing people on my team that are plot doctors that can help you with those types of edits. But keep in mind that it's something that's going to have to do with your brain and the way you work through your story and what that story is and the genre and everything and all those things. But these things should help you kind of like hone in. So the first thing you need to think about is in act 2, after you've got your hook and your, turning point and your inciting incident and everything, and you're getting into act 2, you've got a hero that's now on a journey for whatever reason. And that hero, if you don't keep getting that hero into more and more trouble, or if you don't keep raising the stakes, or if you don't keep shifting the story, again, that's where things sag. So I see this a lot when I get manuscripts and I'm doing reviews or I'm doing developmental edits. I'm seeing, even when I'm doing copy edits, I see this where authors are writing an amazing first act, and then when they get into the second act, they are just kind of filling a story and they're just making plot points happen, but it feels almost like instead of the main characters being propelled through a plot or being pulled through a plot because they have to, because there's stakes involved, it feels like they're being dragged like rope around their neck, dragged across, and it feels very laborious and boring. So what you need to do is you need to break down each chapter, and I want you to always ask yourself in that chapter, first of all, is this information that is moving the plot forward? Is it moving this character closer to their goal or farther away from their goal? And is there something going on in the story that needs this plot, needs this scene? If you can answer that, if this chapter can be removed from your book and it wouldn't make a difference in the story, you got a problem. Okay. So what you need to do is realize that every single chapter, every single scene in your act 2 needs to shift. It needs to introduce new knowledge, new power, a new conflict. It needs to raise the stakes. And I love the analogy of like, well, even the most well-known right now story that everybody kind of seems to universally know is like, Lord of the Rings. Frodo, every time he tried to get closer to the ring, something got harder. The ring was more intensely holding on to him. They would get stuck somewhere, or somebody would try to kill him. There was a big spider that was trying to kill him. Everything got harder and harder. And so by the time that he gets to the Mount Doom, and he faints at the side of the mountain, there are moments where you're asking yourself, as someone who's reading the story or watching the movie, you're asking yourself, oh my gosh, how is he gonna get there? Like, how is this going to even happen? And that's what you want your readers to do. You want your readers to go, oh my gosh, how is he going to get out of this? How is she going to get out of this mess? So that's what you're going to do. You're going to keep raising the stakes. Okay. And this doesn't matter what genre you're writing. There's going to be something that's happening. If you're writing a cozy, of course, the stakes are going to be a lot smaller, but there's still stakes. And that's what's pulling the character through the story. You're evolving a character from start to finish. They started out as something and they got to end up as something different. And at the end of the story, you're hopefully having a character that's evolved and changed in some way so that they can accomplish the hard thing or the thing that drove them through the story. Okay. So here are some things that I have written down that you can do to kind of help you get through those sticky points, those parts that you're like, wait, I do have a flat line here. I do have like a heartbeat that's kind of stopped. So these are some things you're going to do. So the first thing you're going to do is read through the story, and look for places that are exactly the same from start to finish. Again, this could be like emotion, this could be plot, this could be character arc, this could be all kinds of things. But if there's no change in that chapter, then you're not going anywhere. So ask if the chapter feels or the scene feels flat. Okay. If there is, ask yourself, is there something that the character can learn that's new? Can somebody come and inject a problem? Is there something that can switch the power dynamic in the scene? You like ask yourself, is there something that can happen in this scene that can make this more interesting or make this different? Is there some like reveal that you can make, or is there some character that can like reveal maybe some snarkiness or some uh, evil quality that might make the protagonist second guess what they're doing? So just think about things like that. If if two people are peacefully having coffee and they're not talking about anything that's going to change the story, then why are we even talking about it? So make sure that you always have something happening that's advancing or putting up barriers for that protagonist to move forward. You can track the desire of each of your characters. One of the things that I've noticed a lot of people tend to do when they give me a manuscript is they tend to forget that every character in the story is their own main character. So they usually tend to follow just the main character and care about what that main character's desires and drives are. But they forget that everybody in that story, every side character, has a goal that they want to accomplish. And it may be a smaller goal or a less focused goal in that story, but it's still a goal and it still needs to drive everybody's motivations and everybody's actions. The antagonist, your main villain, problem character, whoever's putting up the obstacles to your main character, whoever that is, they have got to have an equal motivation to the main character. Because if they don't, it's going to fall flat and readers are going to see right through that and they're going to get bored. Remember, conflict drives stories. We write stories because they're sitting on this nice turntable of conflict. And if you don't have conflict, then there's no story. Okay. So ask yourself, what does this reader or what does this character want? What is their end goal? And if you can get to that end goal and you can figure out what that is, then that's when you can kind of get fun with it. You can start asking yourself, okay, how can I get this character closer or farther away from their goal? How can I, inject something here that's going to make them a little more frustrated? Anyway, just ask yourself at the end of each scene, is this character evolving? Is this character changing? Did their tactics or did their desires change in any way? And if they did, then you're on point. But if they didn't and you're kind of just, yeah, nothing's changed, then it's gonna lay flat with everybody. Okay. So keep that in mind. So always look at what the characters are doing and how their goals are shifting. And then the third thing I would say is, and I don't know why I wrote it this way, but basically what you're doing is you're looking at relationships. And so it kind of evolves into what the characters want, but now you're looking at them as relationships. So I guess that's what I meant by that, is just making sure that everybody has interrelationship goals that also that can create those shifts in the story. So for example, how can you break the trust of two friends, or how can you like inject a third wheel in a love relationship, or maybe somebody's suspicious of somebody else because they think that maybe the crime has been committed by them. They could be doing something that maybe is a little nefarious seeming, or underhanded. So think about some things that you can do to throw a relationship into kind of some turmoil, or create some maybe even some red herrings if you're like trying to distract your reader from what's happening over here, or make them feel like the stakes are raising because this character is trying to, develop in some way toward a more loving relationship, or discover, they're getting closer to the lie that they believe, and it's getting closer to figuring out that is a lie that isn't true. But then you can have a relationship that throws that all, makes that lie even bigger and harder to overcome. There's a lot of rom-com story movies that do this that I would love to throw at you. Right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of like um the one with Sandra Bullock, where she's in love with the guy who's in a coma. Can't even remember the name of the movie, but anyway, it was really cute. But throughout the story, she's like living this lie that this guy will, being this man she's in love with, she thinks she's in love with, is actually not the man she's in love with, and that she wants something much simpler than she's been chasing. And towards the end, I mean, like, it gets thrown in, not a little bit before the climax, but there's a couple of conflict things that come up where she's conflicted about her feelings for the brother who's not in the coma, and she can, like, things just keep popping up, and the lie gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's harder and harder for her to continue to live this lie because she's falling in love with this brother. So there's just lots of things that you can do with relationships to kind of make them a little more sticky, and to make things a little harder for the characters to come closer to the end result that you need to bring them to. And sometimes that makes the climax harder to write out, but it's something that actually makes your story a lot more interesting. So anyway, so those are the three things that I think would really kind of help you figure out how to shift that story and keep the act two much more interesting. So recap. Let's just ask yourself, scene by scene, did something shift? Did somebody get into a stickier mess? Did somebody figure something out? Was there something that changed? And if nothing changed, if nothing happened in that scene, ask yourself, can something change, or can I get rid of the scene? And so if there's no shift, you're going to have to rewrite it or rethink it. Okay. If you feel like this is helpful, go ahead and hit me up, like, subscribe again, or you can hit me up at editsbystacy.com or printtopro.com. I'm happy to help you guys make sure that your story actually hits the way you want it to, and publish in a way that's going to make you successful as authors. I look forward to hearing more from you guys. I appreciate the kind comments and the constructive comments. If you're going to comment and be mean, get a life and go somewhere else. I'm too busy for you guys. Let me know if you need anything. Again, editsbystacy.com or printtopro.com. If you're interested in finding out like which publishing path is best for you, I have a free, probably about, I think it's like 20 to 30 minutes long, class that I teach that is on my website called Paper Trail. It will walk you through the different publishing paths and help you decide which one's best for you. You're welcome to go get that and see if you guys are on track for publishing your book and your story the way you want it to. But again, story starts with the story, and make sure that your story is going to hit your audience the way you want it to. And again, I look forward to hearing more for you guys. We'll just keep on trucking, and all right, see you later.